Ooh, little hot, little spicy, but that's okay. Happy Saturday, Coffee and Crypto here again. So Bitcoin is sitting at $57,600. It was, I think, 58, give or take, last night. Still a little bit too early in the weekend to know exactly what's going to happen, whether it's going to be a green weekend, whether it's going to be a red weekend. Traditionally, our weekends have just kind of traded level. So we might not even see anything until market open, legacy markets, of course, for Monday. So it's very possible that we just kind of consolidate here for the next 2 days, and then either continue making our way down. And again, we have plenty of levels of support here, or find some support and go back up. A lot of people are actually saying that we could find support right here and then go back up. Anything's possible at this point. I think what is probable, though, is we're probably not going to go below 42,000. I would speculate. Most likely we wouldn't go below 52,000. So there's a lot still happening within the crypto market. But we'll let everyone cycle in here and get in a couple of things that people need to be aware of. We'll bring up this article to talk about it. So it's on the VOD. Everyone can rewatch it. This article here, bear with me here. So back-to-back all-time highs for Avex, Engine, Elrond, and a couple others. We're going to take a look at the charts here to see exactly what's happening. A lot of people are saying, could this signal an alt season? Now, there is an alt season indicator. Let me just pull that up here. Alt season. There we go. I think this is it. The alt season index, yes. So here's the alt season index. So right now, if you look at it, it's right in the middle. So we're not saying that we're in an alt season, right? We'd have to be above this line, above the 75 to be in an alt season. We're currently at 51. So I wouldn't call this an alt season. But I would say that these coins pumping are actually indicative of a healthy market, hopefully. And a lot of these tokens are good. Now, something that I also noticed is a lot of metaverse tokens like Sand, Decentraland, and a couple others are also pumping. Engine is, I would probably say, is part of that as well. So let's take a look at some of the charts. We could take a look at some of the top gainers, and we see like a lot of cryptos, especially Bitcoin, is down 10% on the week. I'll turn on some lights here. And then we have Solana, who's also down 8%, XRP down 10%, Polkadot down 12%, Avex is up 41%, right? So that's a stark contrast with the rest of the crypto market right now. They're being up 41%, and then Crypto.com's token is 53%. So we might see that might be triggering exchange tokens potentially go up. I'm not sure exactly why Crypto.com's token is going up, just them. But that could mean we have some exchange tokens that might pump up. We have Elrond going up 7.3%. We have Decentraland up 20%, 20.5%. And then Sandbox up almost 60% there. So we are seeing some major moves over the metaverse tokens and the gaming tokens, right? So we have Engine also up at 21.9, so almost 22. We have Harmony One up 4.2%, but 11.3 on the daily, on the 24-hour chart. So we do have a lot of movement. Another gaming token is Gala, which is the XRP gaming token, up 314%. So there's still life in the market, whether or not we're going to go down a little bit further in this market or go back up. It's still yet to be told. How's it going, Redbeard? Yeah, no, Sand has done very, very well over the last little while. I'm really impressed with the token price. And also, I mean, like the platform is amazing, right? So, I think it could catch on, Sand. So, it's definitely doing pretty well. I'm happy to see it at this price, which is amazing. So, but yeah, it generally means that right now, everything, for the most part, we are, of course, kind of coming to this point where people don't know whether or not cryptocurrency is going to go down or going to go up. Are we going to enter a bear market? Or are we entering a bull market? And I think everyone just needs to take a step back really quick and kind of look at where we are compared to where we were a couple of weeks ago and realize our situation isn't that bad. And again, we are at some high points, right? If you look at Bitcoin's all-time high, which is 62,000, or sorry, 69,000. If we look at the all-time high of 69,000, go down to the bottom of the wick, that's only a 20% correction. That's really, really not that much in the grand scheme of things when we're talking about cryptocurrency. And we're also still at 57,000. So a huge amount from where we were a couple of weeks ago, being at the 42,000, and then again being almost sub 30,000, right? So we've definitely made up a lot of ground in the last little while. So a 20% correction isn't really going to scare me off of the market just yet. ETH plays into these markets. So let's take a look. So with Ethereum, Ethereum's obviously gotten the dip. Now, a lot of people were calling this a pump. I call it more of a sideways or an upwards consolidation. But you can see where it dropped down and then held a considerable amount of support at 42,000. I don't think we're going to see Ethereum dip much lower in the near term. I can't see that happening just because of the stability of the market. Now, I could be wrong. It could absolutely go down a little bit. But I do think it's going to continue up at least once the market gets back involved. But this could be, I guess a couple of things could happen in terms of the market. But overall, I think there's a lot of institutional push for Ethereum. Like we see Goldman Sachs talking about Ethereum. A lot of people, their entry level crypto is no longer Bitcoin. It becomes Ethereum for some people. They hear about ETH, they think of this opportunity cost, so they go to it. That being said, in terms of when you're talking about the market the utility of the token, it's kind of subpar because the gas fees are super expensive. It's super hard to start playing around with a lot of those projects, right? So, I mean, I still hold ETH. Actually, all my ETH is staked, oddly enough. So I can't pull it out, even if I wanted to. But personally, I kind of like that because I do still believe in that $5,000 to $10,000 Ethereum. 5,000 obviously being on the low end, $10,000 being more my target price by the end of the market cycle, if I'm right and the market cycle continues. So, Giovanni, hey man, great videos all the time. You used to speak about PSwap. What's happened to it? So PSwap went through a bit of a dip. So I'm not okay. So I want to say this because a lot of people think that because I don't talk about something, I'm bearish on it. It doesn't necessarily mean that. I still hold all of my PSwap. If we look at the chart here, it is down. It's down to an all-time low, right? It's bled for quite a bit. A lot of other hypes coming out for a lot of other projects, and it's really just been hard on the ecosystem. So we can kind of see how that's pushed down. Traditionally, when something is so wedged up, there usually is only one place to go. Now, is PSwap itself, is PokerSwap, the DEX, fundamentally flawed in any way, or is there a reason why people wouldn't use it? Not really. There's no actual problem with the platform. Sora has a good outlook on the tokenomics. They have a nice platform in terms of PokerSwap. So right now I'm still providing my liquidity. I guess I would probably say that I'm holding, and I'm and I'm not really like paying attention to the price moves with PSwap. This also means that I'm not really making many videos about PSwap, but there's also not much to talk about. Like there are some updates to the platform that are coming out. They are constantly updating us on the dev blogs and everything. But there's still a lot of things that we're waiting on because it's still on a soft launch. So we don't have our vested rewards, for example. And there's other functionality within the site that's not currently in place. So it is going to happen. Now, the one thing that I've noticed, at least in the last little while, is my actual my rewards for the fees have gone up because people are most likely exiting the system. So at this point, I could probably tell that people are FOMOing. I guess not FOMOing. Fudding out, I suppose. Fudding out of the system. So I guess it is what it is. At the end of the day, I still trust my position on that investment, so I'm not really all that worried too much. But you know, It is what it is. A lot of people are just like, hey, like it hasn't pumped. I bet you're upset that you invested in P-swap since it hasn't really done anything. It's like I can't really predict where the market's going to go. I can find good projects. Sora has a good outfit. I think they know what they're doing. So I'm going to keep my investment in and trust that the system is going to pick it up in the next part of the bull market, as long as there is a next part of the bull market. Staked my sand on a Binance for 19%. Beautiful, beautiful choice. It sucks because I don't know if Binance is servicing Ontario, or if they're just or if they're just limiting services. Like if it's just the leverage stuff that's done. But where does Ethereum play in the market? I mean, it's probably the most known smart contract platform, right? I think it's a pretty determining factor of the market. Obviously, Bitcoin is way more determining, but you know, right now Ethereum's holding a lot of support. It's holding at 42,000, above 4,000. It's keeping on to gains that it hasn't held on for like a while, right? We're still back at our all-time high, which could be called a level of support here. But I think overall, Ethereum's going to be a good bet, in my opinion, of course. So, yeah, no worries. My thesis is always hold for the most part, unless you know the project is dead. Like it's same thing with if you were investing in stocks in a way. If you're investing in a stock that goes down, you're still happy with the business. You know, they're still trying to make their earning reports. Maybe it's early, whatever. You stay in. But if you fundamentally see that there's a problem, the CEO is bad, or they're doing some really illegal stuff, or the money laundering or whatever, you pull, you sell your position, right? So at this point, I don't see anything telling me to get out of my position on P-swap. So it is what it is. A dip is a dip, and I'm just going to ride it out. So that's all it is. How's it going, Andrew? Thanks for the coffee money, buddy. Hope you're balling out this bull run. You know, we're making things happen. We're making moves. It is what it is. It's hard for me sometimes to take a oh shit perspective, right? Mainly because of when I got into the market. So of course I got into the market before the parabolic rise here. So getting in just before March, basically riding through that dip, and then getting up to the top here. The big thing with that is my gains are already made, right? So it's hard for me to see a dip like this when we were at 69,000 just a week and a half ago or whatever. Had 69,000 a week and a half ago, and we're at 57,000. It's hard for me to be upset about a $57,000 Bitcoin when I was buying it at between 4,000 to 10,000. So definitely. How's it going, Oracle? There's a lot of sheep talk lately, eh? So there you go. What is it? There's one big retailer that's Newegg, I think was it's not for sure. It's not for sure. I should say that. But I believe Newegg is expecting to accept a Shiba Inu, which would be big because I know mainly most of the Shiba Inu people are computer people like myself, and would be happy to spend their Shiba Inu, their new Shiba Inu wealth on some PC parts. I don't know if this is true. We've seen a lot of rumors like this come out as false. I don't know if Newegg already accepts cryptocurrency. So for me, it would be weird that the first cryptocurrency would be Shiba Inu. But who knows? I don't actually know if they do accept, apart from Dogecoin. Okay. So they do accept Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ethereum, Wrap Bitcoin, DAI, and 4 stablecoins. So they do accept cryptocurrency. So this isn't that big of a jump then. Would be added to the... and that's interesting. In other news, Adam Aron, CEO of giant movie theater AMC, recently confirmed that Shiba Inu would be added to the company's diverse suite of crypto payments, which is hilarious because I feel like in a lot of ways AMC is just taking on the whole stock squeeze, the whole hedge fund squeeze to I guess boost their I mean, good for them. I said the same thing about GameStop in a lot of ways. If GameStop is willing to take that money from this hedge fund squeeze and improve the business and actually make it worthwhile business, they could do it under the right CEO. It absolutely can be done. I agree with AMC too. I think we're inching into the corner where things are going to start finding some sort of normality, whatever that normal means. But that does mean places like movie theaters opening up and things like that happening. So, of course, there could be a lot. But how's it going, Natural Canadian? Happy Saturday, happy weekend. Sold out of Sheeb about a month ago. Oh, that's all right. You definitely made a good profit, at least. Have I seen the Satama FUD? No, I haven't seen the Satama FUD at all. I mean, at the end of the day, there's going to be FUD about a lot of things, and my general investment thesis is not to worry so much about what the FUD happens around things. There are some times where I've been in a token and bad news came out, all right? Like I was providing liquidity. I'll tell you guys a story. I was providing liquidity on Pancake Swap for Pancake and God, I can't even remember the token. It was like it was an NFT play. I don't know. I want to be careful because I don't want to say the wrong token because I don't want to like shit on that token if it's not. So there's two. There was one that was like Alpaca, and then there was another one, APCA or something along those lines. One of them ended up getting some sort of issue and someone like hacked in and took a bunch of funds or something along those lines with the blockchain. Luckily, I'm obsessed with cryptocurrency and obsessed with checking my portfolio, and I saw the dramatic difference in my liquidity pool, pulled my liquidity out before the main thing happened, and then saw the rush out from everyone. So I was able to get lucky to get out of there. But you do got to be careful. There's going to be FUD, but there's also going to just be bullshit FUD, right? So you just gotta watch into it. Oh, it's huge FUD. You have to look it up. Possibly class action lawsuit against CoinMarketCap. Interesting. And like I wouldn't. So here's the thing. When we talk about, actually, this would be an interesting topic to talk about, because when you talk about other platforms around the cryptocurrency space that influence the cryptocurrency space, right? Like CoinMarketCap, you have CoinGecko here, you have a couple others. Then you have like entities like Tether, which aren't really in the same realm, but they offer a service to cryptocurrency. These outfits have essentially so much power in the market to dictate all kinds of things. So I don't know what's happening, but let's see. CoinMarketCap. The only thing that I can like assume in my head is essentially that the price was manipulated through CoinMarketCap. Did CoinMarketCap FBI warning cause it? Oh. So they warned something on the FBI. Let me just pull this up here. We can read this together. Let's see, specifics, not statistics. Where is the warning read? Willie D sentenced in wire fraud scam, FBI. So was he actually sentenced in a wire fraud scam? Should be no announcement is visible on CoinMarketCap. Interesting. The link in archives. Huh. The announcement was related to the sentencing of. So. Oh. Oh, so am I reading that right? That essentially they pulled an article from like 12 years ago to bash somebody? Is that what I'm getting? I'm not sure. Wow. That's pretty shasty. Morning, Kyle. How's it going? What's going on with Bitcoin now, bro? I mean, like at the end of the day, Bitcoin has a lot of support where we are, right? Bitcoin, most likely, if I had to make a bet on it, and I'm not talking about a huge bet, let's say $100, right? That tells me how confident I am. Like I'm not betting my life. I'm not betting my car or anything else. I'm maybe betting $100. We're probably going to get somewhere in this 52,000 range, maybe even like converge to this, like end on our trend line and bounce up above our trend and then go up hopefully to our 97,000 by December. Ideally that's what we would see, but ultimately I'm not too worried on where we're going to go in the short term, especially with Bitcoin and everything. I mean, like there's always a potential for us to drop, right? But there's a lot of evidence telling us that if we don't hold support at 52, we will hold support at 42. And there's a lot of evidence telling us that we're not going to see this range here below 42,000 to 30. I mean, I could be wrong. I definitely could be wrong. I was wrong here when I said that we would hold at the 42 and we didn't hold at the 42, right? So there's a lot to be said about that, but also short-term price predictions are a little bit hard to make. That being said, I don't see anything in the market telling us that we're all over. So, do I believe in Ben Cohen's lengthening market cycles? Could we peak, say, next May of Q3? I think actually lengthening market cycles is probably the most likely outcome. One, we know that the market cycle's already lengthened to the date, so it's already longer than the previous market cycle. I would speculate that one day in the future, not anytime soon, but one day in the future, we will have two happenings in one market cycle. That is a testament to us lengthening out to that point. So it's not dictated by the halvenings, it's dictated by the overall market, similar to gold or precious metals. So I do think that will most likely lengthen. And I also agree with that. And I also agree that in between sometime March to the summer, so March to Q3, we should see a market peak around that zone. It's something that Raoul Powell thinks as well, that most likely if we do see something like a December sell-off, it makes sense because people are selling because that's what happened in 2017. And then we could continue on to our market cycle peak sometime between March or Q3. So that's what I believe in a nutshell. How's it going, Riley? I didn't see your message up there, but hope your morning is good. Causing probably market. Yeah, no. So an article like that, right? An article like this is clear market manipulation when they're pulling up. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Oh, where is it? There we go. So when CoinMarketCap is doing that, it's kind of clear market manipulation in a lot of ways. Now, I don't want to say this because, there could be a legal proceeding, right? And I'm not saying in absolutes, innocent until proven guilty, of course. But this looks pretty damning. I mean, you're just pulling up an article from 12 years ago for no reason. So, yeah. Could I see a sell-off in December? I think we could see a sell-off in December, but if we do see a sell-off in December, it's going to be emotional. I talked about it in a video I did a couple of days ago, and basically said, if we do see a sell-off in December, I'm going to hold my bags, because I expect the market will go up. If I'm wrong, I mean, I made my bed and I'm going to sleep in it. But if I'm right, I'm going to be pretty happy. So, and I'm pretty confident of that fact. I'm pretty confident that we will continue our market. I'm confident that this is in the market peak. And we don't have many indicators telling us that this is the market peak. Like if we look at right now, volume is still relatively low. We're kind of up on volume, but still not really, right? Comparative to like here, we see all this crazy volume when we're on this parabolic rise. We don't see nearly as much. We see Bitcoin's consistently leaving exchanges. Ethereum is consistently leaving exchanges. So we have this huge supply shortage for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. There's health in the market is essentially where I'm going. Root's always a good option too. Root's definitely a good outfit. When you look at a stock like Rivian with a $113 billion market cap with a project that goes show that. Oh, yeah, completely. Um, is your thesis that all the dumb money can flow into crypto? I wouldn't say dumb money. I mean, like dumb money is gonna come with regular money and investment money anyway. So I'm going to answer this question, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm going to answer this question in a long-term perspective, right? So I guess I'll rephrase the question to where could cryptocurrency go in the next 10 to 15 years, and how much of that will be actual money, like actual investment money, going in for infrastructure on the system and everything else, and how much is dumb money. And to kind of talk about dumb money really quick, for the most part, a lot of my friends that just YOLO into the market and YOLO like Shiba Inu or something that I don't stack that much, they do well, and they've done better than me in some cases, right? What is it? A monkey throwing darts at a dartboard will traditionally outperform investment bankers. There's a hamster that is currently trading cryptocurrency. I think what is it? What's his name? Mr. Gox or something? Obviously named after Mount Gox. You can go look him up. It's a hamster trading crypto. But yeah, I think in terms of dumb money is always going to flow where just money and profits are. So we're just going to see dumb money go into any market that's thriving. That being said, is there going to be a lot of legitimate money that's going to kind of cancel that out? I think so. I think right now the crypto market is so in the infancy stage. We don't have regulations for the crypto market yet. It's still only at a $2.5 trillion market cap, which sounds like a lot, but that's not a lot when the stock market is over 100 trillion right now. There's a lot of indicators showing us that a lot more is to come for cryptocurrency. So a lot of that's going to be dumb money as well. And that dumb money is going to flow into some really scammy projects. We had, what is it? Save the Kids token, which was basically a scam. We had the Tits token, promoted by like Tana Mojo and a bunch of other YouTubers. That also was a scam. There's a lot of other tokens that are just scammy in nature, really shitty tokenomics, really focus on more the Ponzi scheme aspect, rather than producing a good product, right? And I think we see that, we saw that in .com. We see that today with businesses, people making businesses that don't solve any problems fundamentally and just leech money off of the system, leech money out of society. I think it's probably going to be the same deal with cryptocurrency, and the only way to really alleviate that, and there's no way to get rid of it, but the only way to alleviate it is with proper regulations that don't stifle innovation. Dumb money is just for making profit. Yeah, I really like a lot of people that don't think about what they're investing in terms of like long term, and they just want to get into it. A lot of it is more just like, oh, YOLO, bro. Like I'm just going in because Elon Musk says we're going to the moon. Like I mean, okay. I mean, like at the end of the day, anyone that invested all in Shiba Inu is done better than my entire portfolio. So there's that. I mean, like that actually is a real thing. So. And yeah, Natural Canadian, that's the one that he's talking about. I assume Kyle's most likely on DFIN, although he could be another platform as well. But I believe that's the same token. So there's a lot to be said. A couple articles that I prepared here for the live stream. One, El Salvador banks are saying that they can coexist with Bitcoin, which I think that this is the sentiment that you're going to see from a lot of other banking structures as well, saying that, hey, Bitcoin isn't going to displace us. We're still going to be here. We're still going to be able to do business. And we're still going to be able to provide value, which is the goal of the banks, essentially, to not become obsolete. I can't see, at least in our generation, I can't see banks going away. We have a lot of people that still rely on banks, still only know the banks. And if you look at general people investing, and people saving, most people say, oh, I just do everything through the bank, or I just go buy CIDs from the bank. I'm Canadian, so, or I just go buy mutual funds, or just whatever. I mean, that's people's actual investment theory. So I don't think banks are going to go away. They offer some level of convenience for people that don't want to organize some of their finances, right? Don't want to kind of self-serve some of their investments. So I don't think banks are going to go away in any way. But I think in a lot of ways, there's the kind of fear that was happening in El Salvador when Bitcoin was, sub 40K, always going down. And essentially, the people were upset that they were even spending money on Bitcoin. And now, obviously, Bitcoin's shot up. El Salvador has doubled in value in terms of the Bitcoin holdings. So there's not all that much protesting happening right now. Although I'm sure there's still some what's the word? I guess discord about whether or not El Salvador should or should not consider Bitcoin legal tender. But I mean, that's opened up the floodgates, though, to other countries accepting it as legal tender as well. Some South African countries that are also thinking of accepting it as legal tender. And I truly believe, maybe Bitcoin isn't, but I truly believe that cryptocurrency is the way to get out of a lot of destabilized areas. Like, I'm Lebanese, for example. Lebanon's gone through a huge currency crisis, and cryptocurrency is basically saving a lot of people being able to buy some Bitcoin and get out of their native currency, which is a big deal. So you have to understand that there are advantages of both sides, banking and Bitcoin. Yeah, and I think I agree with that statement for the most part. I mean, like, I'm at the point, and I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I'm at the point where I could do without a bank. If I can figure out a way to pay my bills through cryptocurrency, I can, like, basically get out of my bank account and everything else. Although I still have employment income that has to go through a bank, so I still need a bank, right? So I'm basically tethered to a bank right now. Hopefully, ideally, one day in the future, I'll be able to get paid in Bitcoin, go into a Bitcoin wallet, and just manage everything myself and say screw you to the banks. That's exactly what I would like to do, but I don't think we're at that point, and I definitely don't think El Salvador is at that point to kind of like innovate that push to make that happen. So I think there's a lot to be said of the space where banks have a part to play in cryptocurrency in the future. But that being said, of course, in my opinion, banks are more or less obsolete. Interesting aspect of the fear and greed index. We're kind of like halfway through. So if you guys don't know, the fear and greed index kind of tells us market sentiment based on human emotion, right? And again, all these markets are all emotional markets. We'll put that up here so we have the full one. All these markets are all human emotions and everything else. My thesis has always been, same as Warren Buffett: get greedy when people are fearful, and get fearful when people are greedy. A lot of people were greedy a couple of weeks ago, definitely last month, with the extreme greed of 87. And now we're here at the fear, right? We had a lot of fear yesterday, considering, and that's weird because I think we ended the day close to 58,000 on Bitcoin, but there was a lot of fear generally. Yeah, we did end the day in a green candle here. So yeah, roughly 58,000. Yeah, give or take. So I don't know why people are super scared in that downturn, but I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I don't think Bitcoin's going to go into any capitulation down sub our support lines here. And like, again, anything can happen, right? So I don't want to completely talk in absolutes. But for the most part, Bitcoin has a good amount of support. We're still on this trend going upwards. So whether or not we will kind of hold it off and stay on this is still yet to be seen, but I think we will. So my guess, a perfect move would essentially be hitting the points here where 52,000 and our trend line converge and then shoot up. I think if we do hold at 52, so I guess I'll run through scenarios. One, we can break through 52,000 and capitulate down, hold at 42,000, make our way, kind of trade sideways until finally we're able to break above 52,000 and then get back onto the market cycle, hopefully sometime in Q2, Q3 of 2022. What I'm hoping happens, and what I think is more likely to happen, is we go down, find some support at 52,000, and start firing off at 52,000 sometime in late December, early January, essentially, is when that would happen, and then continue our market cycle. This would be the most bullish perspective, continue our market cycle into Q2 or Q3. So definitely probably on the earlier side, I would think. I'd probably guess that we'd probably see a market peak more into Q2. But I mean, anything can happen, and it can definitely go Q3. And if you think about it, it's actually not making it that much more longer than say 2017 was. Especially when you look at it from the candle perspective. Now, if we take a look peak to peak, which I know isn't the best way to measure prices, but we can measure this by bars. So 1,480 bars, which means 1,480 days peak to peak. If we look right now and take our peak to where we are right now, if we were to call this a peak, which I wouldn't call it a peak. Oh, bear with me here. So peak to peak today is 1,432 bars. So not quite at the same point, but we're getting there. So we'll see. I think what's the most interesting about where we are in history with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is essentially we are at a deciding point. Whether or not Bitcoin is going to follow, say, the Plan B style, and I say Plan B because his stock to flow is pretty famous at this point, so we'll call it Plan B. I'm not referencing him specifically. The Plan B style thinking compared to lengthening market cycles. We're at this point where still either theory can technically be correct. We're not quite at the point where we can discount the Plan B, going based on the halvening, and we're going to peak every 4 years kind of thing. We can't say definitively that that's not the case, and we also can't say definitively that lengthening market cycles are the case. The interesting thing about that is we're coming up to the point really, really quickly where one of those theories are going to, for sure, be the right, or the more correct one, I should say, not the right one, the more correct for today's time frame. So we'll see exactly what happens in the next little bit. I'm interested to see, because whatever happens is essentially going to be groundbreaking for cryptocurrency. So it's definitely a monumentous time in terms of history, in terms of crypto, where it can go and everything else. So I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to be here for it. I think it's going to be amazing to kind of analyze and see exactly what happens, because in a lot of ways, this history, this price chart is definitely historic, and in 20, 30 years, we're going to look back at this moment and think, how crazy we were to speculate on some of the things that we were speculating, how right we were on some things, how wrong we were on some things. So it's going to be a lot of reflection back to this point. I truly believe in a lot of ways this market cycle is going to determine how other market cycles in the future will be shaped. Not exactly, but a lot of people will, instead of using 2017, will start using 2021 and 2022 as examples for future markets. So I mean, like, there's not really much to talk about on days like this, because really nothing's happening in the crypto market. No real big news. Not too much is happening around. So IMO, the 150K Bitcoin is based on a US sport ETF, and more companies, not named MicroStrategy, Square, Tesla, adding Bitcoin to the balance sheet. I agree with you in a lot of ways. I think it's too early for a lot of companies to add Bitcoin to the balance sheet unless they have a CEO that's specifically cryptocurrency appreciative or likes cryptocurrency. The reason why I say it's too early is simply because of the volatility. Now, I'm not saying that in a bad way, because for us, we like our volatility. We like our crypto going up and down wildly. It's a sign of crypto. I mean, like, it's an early market. It's going to be super volatile at first. But with that, when businesses have to decide for their shareholders whether or not they put this volatile asset on their balance sheet, that's a much harder sell than personally owning Bitcoin, right? So Tim Cook, for example, personally owns Bitcoin or Ethereum, but Apple themselves do not, right? So it's still early for a lot of those businesses to bring on Bitcoin, but I do agree with you. 150K Bitcoin is based on like ETFs, how that's going. I know that they're approving some ETFs. Some ETFs are getting denied, but I think it just depends on who's setting up the ETFs. I'm assuming what loopholes and who they're paying to get that ETF going. We have a lot of push from, say, Tesla and everyone else to work with Bitcoin, but not so much like industry standard to start adding Bitcoin to your balance sheet. I'd be interested to know, like, one day if we'll see something like banks offer some sort of savings vehicles for Bitcoin, for cryptocurrency. I'd be interested to know if that's something that's going to happen. But it'll be interesting to see. Can we do it without that? I think for the most part, we could. And the reason why I say that is because the market caps are still so small. Individual investors would probably make up that price. If we're talking about, say, what do we need for cryptocurrency to hit, say, a 20 to 30 trillion dollar market cap, at that point I would say that's more like we need the businesses. But I think a market cap like that would bring Bitcoin. Do some quick math here. So if we have $30 trillion, which sounds like a lot, I know it does, but bear with me here for a moment. Wait, hold on. Yeah, okay, that looks right. Divided by 21 million. That would bring Bitcoin to roughly 1.4 million, which makes sense. Okay, that sounds like an appropriate number. So for Bitcoin to hit something like 1.4 million, so something more like a $30 trillion market cap, that would require much more institutional push. Where, say, a $10 trillion market cap, which is more in line. Well, okay, not a $10 trillion market cap. 150 would be what's the current market cap now? Around 3 trillion. So 150 would be 3 trillion. So can individual investors, essentially the argument that I'm saying, sorry, I'm not articulating this right. Essentially the argument that I'm saying is, could Bitcoin 3x just by you and me, just by regular people investing their money? I absolutely think so. So I don't think 2 trillion is a lot of money. I think we as investors could offer up that $2 trillion for the Bitcoin market cap. Do we need corporations? No. Will corporations make it a hell of a lot easier? Absolutely. When we're talking about larger values like $1.5 million Bitcoin, we would obviously need way more investment push from businesses putting it on their balance sheet. So I guess, could we hit that 150K without additional businesses and just individual investors like it is today? I think so. It's that, and it's also like, you got to think of shareholders as well. A lot of shareholders aren't so bullish on Bitcoin. So if you're running a multi-trillion dollar company, like, say, Apple, and you're about to go into a board meeting and explain to your shareholders why you're holding Bitcoin or why you want to hold Bitcoin, potentially while the price goes down, that could sink your price. And we saw this with MicroStrategies as well. If we take a look at the MicroStrategies chart, let's see here, MicroStrategies stock. Let's see. Actually, can I find this in market view? Why couldn't I? Let's see. What's the ticker? MSTR. So if we take a look at MicroStrategies, right? And we look at it now, 718. It's acting more as a Bitcoin ETF in a lot of ways. So if we look back to where is the Bitcoin drop? That was May, right? April, May. So if we look back here, so in this zone, MicroStrategies was buying crypto. Where are we? 2021. Oh, I'm in 2020. That's why. Okay, this makes a lot more sense. Okay, so if we look back at April, right? So MicroStrategies went through a huge pump, right? They did great things, hitting up to like $1,000-$1,200 stock price. Huge, massive. And this is all like news of them buying Bitcoin and going all in, right? Like I remember MicroStrategies like down in this range. I thought this was bullish that MicroStrategies was getting in, but you look at this, right? And then you look at here, MicroStrategies hits this peak after Bitcoin tops out, hits this peak, and then Bitcoin just kind of topples over, right, into May. And the stock price goes from 600 all the way down to 400. How do you explain something like that to your investors? This is not normal, right? And the reason why I say this is because in the stock market, when you're talking about slow gains and slow losses, this is not normal for people. Tesla as a stock is not normal for people, right? The Tesla stock is basically a crypto price chart. In a lot of ways, it's a crypto price chart. It's a lot of speculation in a lot of ways. Not much earnings to back it. And I'm not going to say that I'm betting against Elon Musk, because at this point, anyone who's bet against Elon Musk hasn't done well. But even them, I would speculate have gone through some bad times in certain points. Like if we take a look at February, March, yeah. So even them, and of course they were kind of the cause of a lot of the Bitcoin FUD, right? But they said that they added Bitcoin to their balance sheet, right? And everything got really bullish for Tesla, and then again that market drop happened in April and May, and then boom, right? The price tanked from around 780 to 500. Explaining that to investors and then saying, "Oh, don't worry, in just half a year or however long this is." In just 134 days, you'll be in profit. To explain things like that to investors that hey, we're gonna go down because of volatility of a cryptocurrency. That's a hard sell for shareholders. I mean, like I'd be all for it, of course, because I'm a crypto buff. I know about crypto, but a lot of people aren't like that. So when you're talking about investments through treasuries of businesses and through governments, that's a harder swallow for people to make. So I guess take that for what it is. I suppose the stock market is not used to the gains and the losses that we make in the crypto market. It's crazy that here we're sitting through 30-40% corrections, and we're still smiling. A 40% correction in the stock market probably kills people. So Haz, have you seen a bull market support band? Ben is saying. So he's talking specifically, and we can analyze that really quick, because I think it's a great theory, and I actually think it has a lot of weight to it. So if we look at, say, the 20-week EMA, go to our weekly chart. So this is the line that he's basing that off of in the support bull market support band. So it's the 20-week EMA and the 21-week SMA, I think. Actually, let's see. I think I have his. Yeah, I do have his thing here. Oh, interesting. I'll just put that up. So this is his bull market support band, right? So he says essentially, and anytime that we've gone to the 21-week EMA, I believe that's the EMA. So if we look here, anytime that we've tested it and then held support, right? Tested and held support. Anytime that we've done that, we've never seen that price again. So he's saying that we should never see a Bitcoin at 40K again, right? That's his statement based on that. So how does that hold up in what's happened in the past, right? So, well, if we look back where it's held at the EMA before, so right here, held at the EMA at roughly $10,000. We've never seen that $10,000 again, but still, that was in 2020, about a year ago. We're getting into, yeah, a little over a year ago, right? So we haven't seen that in a little while. We went up and shot up. You could, in some ways, make an argument that this was a support hold, but I don't believe it is. If we look back at 2017, right, and see what happened here, we see a couple instances of this happening. So we see here, Bitcoin hit the range of $3,000 or just, yeah, around there, 297, right? And if we look at that, right, did Bitcoin ever pull back to that price ever again? No, never saw that again. Came close here after the December capitulation event, right, after the bull market. It came very, very close to reaching that price, but it never reached that price again, right? If we look back here, same thing, hit this level, tested, found support, regained, never hit that price again. And the same pattern kind of continues throughout the market. Anytime, of course, that we've kind of broken through, then that the rule is null for that breakthrough, right? So if it's a breakthrough, obviously we will find that price again at one point. But if we hold support and we bounce off of it, then most likely we will never see that price again. So that's why in a lot of ways, Ben Cohen is a little bit bullish that we're not going to see that 40,000. I don't think we're going to see below 52,000. I think we're still bullish in a lot of ways. I think the problem that you get right now, why people are so scared, is because there's so many people out there that were holding on to this Bitcoin market peak in December, 4-year market cycles. That's the only way to go. And now that the market is going down and they see, hey, I like the price to get to 150K Bitcoin in December just doesn't seem to add up. I don't think it's going to happen. People are panicking and thinking that this is the market peak. So I think that's where it comes down to. I think MicroStrategy's market cap is close to the value of its Bitcoin holdings. Kind of crazy. So at first, with MicroStrategies, they made an effort because I know that Michael Saylor was on Squawk Box talking about this, talking about how they essentially asked them, so what am I investing in MicroStrategies? Am I investing in a software company or am I investing in Bitcoin? And he was pretty adamant saying software company. Whereas now it seems like they've rebranded the stock to be holding or like a pseudo Bitcoin ETF in a way, is how I'm hearing them market it now. So times have changed with that. Times have changed about their perspective too. But yeah, I'd say their stock price is way more correlated to Bitcoin rather than their own performance in the economic scheme of their business. Yeah, a lot of big YouTubers are yelling for that peak in December, and I mean, fair. Like at the end of the day, right? I can't say with absolute definitive. I can't say absolutely definitively that we are going to hit a market peak into 2022. Q2, Q3. I can't say that for sure. I can't say for sure that we're not going to peak in December, right? I can't say for sure that stock to flow isn't 100% correct, which I don't think it is. But I can say that the evidence leans towards more the lengthening market cycle theory, more towards we're going to see a peak sometime in 2022. And more towards we are not going to see a parabolic rise in December. In fact, we could probably see the opposite, being a sell-off in December, bringing us to some low prices, maybe even finding support at that $40,000 or before that $40,000. But we will definitely see what happens in the near term. Do I see a big economic crash? I think that's okay. So I'll say what I'm going to say, but before I say it, I will say this. Traditionally, if someone says that the market's going to crash, they're wrong. Okay, so I'm going to start off exactly what I'm going to say with that statement. So I want you to always remember that. Traditionally, when people say that the market is going to crash and we are heading in for some dark times in the economy, they're wrong. Okay, but there are the cases, and here's the but, there are the cases where some people are right, and there's a lot of signs and warning signs telling us that our economy is heading into a dangerous area. And the reason why we know that, I would probably say the big thing is, our money supply is a huge issue. And we also have a big issue right now with supply chains. So walk into any grocery store at this point. If you walk into any grocery store, you're going to see bare shelves. You're going to see products that are missing. I know there are a lot of food items that I like to buy that I can't buy right now. Whether it be the containers aren't available, the actual individual product isn't available, it's stuck on a boat somewhere, whatever, insert the problem here. It's happening right now in 2021. And it shows the fragility of our supply chain, right? Of what's happening. So when you have that supply chain happen, when you have that fragility of that supply chain, you have inflation rampant, you have job wages not going up, right? Which we are seeing this huge wage shortage. People not seeing that it's worth working, whether they're not getting paid enough, whether they want to align with other medical ideology and forego their wages because it's not enough. Again, not enough incentive, I suppose, to work. That in turn hurts the economy. So we're in this area where we have all these things happening, right? We have our lack of a supply chain. We have lack of wages. We have increasing costs of living and costs of food. Canada specifically, our housing market is on a huge rise. I don't know where it's going to go. I'm afraid of buying a house because I'd feel like, who knows if I'm going to lose 40% on it next year? Who knows if it's going to go up 300% next year? It's anyone's guess. And for me, I'm not in the market of guessing. So I don't know. I don't know enough about the housing market specifically to make an educated guess. But you see all of these things happening, right? And all of these cracks happening in our supply chains and everything. It really shows the fragility of our economy. So could we see a crash similar to, say, 1930s, right? So could we see an inch into the Great Depression? I think yes, we could and probably will see it. I'm leaning towards yes, it's going to happen, but I would probably say that's more in turn because of the hyperinflation and the supply chain issues. I think is going to be the big driver in why that would happen. Now, if you look at certain stocks like the IPO worlds, like Coinbase came out, Airbnb came out, all of these IPOs came out and went way above their valuations. Like a huge amount above their valuations. And it just logically doesn't make sense that they were at the values that they were. Tesla in a lot of ways, and I'm going to upset a lot of people here. And just keep in mind, I'm not a bear on Tesla. I love the company. I love what they're doing. I don't so much like Elon Musk, but that's okay. That being said, Tesla has no business at the price that it's at today. It's not hitting earnings. It consistently doesn't hit earnings. And they're not as good as some other automated car makers like Volvo, for example. Volvo, one of the best EV plays that you could probably make. If I was on the Swedish Stock Exchange, and I still got to find out a broker that can allow me to trade Volvo, but if I was on the Swedish Stock Exchange, that's what I would be buying. Of course, right now I buy Tesla because I want exposure. So of course, but Tesla is a fad, and well, I shouldn't say fad because it's not going away, but it's just hyped by the Musk Moon Boys. So that's all it is. But I do think with the printing of money and the rising cost of living, I think people are going to lose trust in that value. It comes down to like Venezuela, for example. Venezuela had the #1 stock market, all-time performing stock market right before hyperinflation kicked in. Now, the stock market wasn't a symptom of something else. It was a symptom of the hyperinflation. The stock market was that high because of the hyperinflation of the currency. So the same thing happens. If we get a really good stock market, we're printing more money. That money is going back into equities, usually through PPP loans, going through businesses back into buying back their stocks. I think what is it? American Airlines did something like that, or Boeing. One of the airlines essentially used their PPP loan to like buy back stocks at a low, something along those lines. We have all this happening, but at the end of the day, when regular people cannot buy bread, cannot buy milk, cannot buy food for their family, that's when the loss of trust in the currency happens and the loss in trust in the economy happens. And that's when we see some pretty dangerous things happen, being a market decline, going into a depressive area, way worse than say the 2008 recession. I think we're living in some of the most volatile times, and I think it could go either which way. My bet is most likely on some sort of global economic crash. I definitely think we're gonna hit something like that. Do I think the longer we languish at 57K in November, the less likely we see a December sell-off? No, I think the December sell-off, if we see a December sell-off, it's purely emotion based. So I think we'll probably just see the December sell-off because people are like, oh, Bitcoin and crypto 4-year market cycle, go, that's just their thinking, right? It's going to be 4 years and they want to sell in December because that's the top and they have 5,000 HQ or IQ and think that they're smarter than everyone else, right? So I think that's what's going to happen. You're probably just going to see a sell-off. It might not be huge though. It might just be a small sell-off, but it'll probably just be a sell-off. Things that you got to remember about the sell-off though is the exchange supply for Bitcoin and Ethereum is still dramatically low at this point. So the price is going to go up. Yeah, who knows? They keep printing money and just putting band-aids on everything. And they say the inflation rate is transitory, right? So it should go away is what Jerome Powell is saying. Yeah, history doesn't agree with Jerome Powell. I will say that history does not agree with Jerome Powell. History does not agree about hyperinflation. There was a situation in Germany, the Treaty of Versailles. I don't want to misspeak. I think it's the Treaty of Versailles. Paper Marx 40s chart. So essentially what happened, I want to find this chart. God. Essentially what happened, paper German marks. Okay, here we go. Okay. This is off of Wikipedia. So how I understand it, and maybe this is an oversimplified version. I'm a big World War II buff. I love like war movies and everything. Band of Brothers, one of my favorite series. But I don't know too much about the economics of this. So I believe what happened with the Treaty of Versailles, there was a metal shortage because of the trading embargoes and everything else that were levied over Germany after the war, and essentially after World War One. Essentially, they had let every German town know, hey, we're out of metal to make marks, right? We can't make actual marks. Please make your own paper marks. Right? So every individual town was in charge of printing their own paper marks to represent money. In this time, this many paper marks, so what is that? 1 trillion paper marks was worth one paper mark, right? This is what happens with hyperinflation. And you don't really notice it until it's too late. Of course, World War One and Treaty of Versailles, like this is a long time period, right? If we look at 1918 going up to 1922, that's a long time frame to just be sitting, right? But this is how hyperinflation happens. The printing didn't just happen at the end, right? This is where the printing happened. The printing happened all along through here. Right? It's the accumulation of that printing and then noticing when it's too late that we have a problem. And that's what hyperinflation is. This is what's happened in Venezuela. And this is, in my opinion, what's happening in the United States. Because we see they're not even giving us M2 reports on the money stock. So we don't actually know what money's being printed. Of course, the last report that we got was back in August, right? August, September, October, November. Are you getting the picture here? We don't know for the last couple of months how much money's been printed. And if we look at how much money's been printed since the pandemic, right? Let's take a look. When did the pandemic happen? January, pretty good representation. I think first signs of COVID was sometime in September. Pretty good representation of that. We have just that, right? Just this period, we shot up, 37%, right? 1/3 of the money supply was printed. Insane amount of money on the M2 report. And now we're not seeing the M2 report, and that's on purpose. So yeah, they'll be yelling. See, that's the thing, Kyle. They'll be yelling the top even when we get into 2022, even when we get to Q2, Q3 of 2022. I'm confident that a lot of these people that are calling for Bitcoin top in December are just going to say, well, it's always supposed to be March. It's always supposed to be this. It's always they're going to keep pushing their predictions and say, hey, I'm right because, you know, I want to be right. So, yeah. I suppose that's it. If you are here, go ahead and drop a like. We're going to start wrapping it up here and kind of get ready to move on. I'm going to get to the gym, get some shopping done for the day. But it's been a great chat for a weekend. I like the conversations where we get into the economic side of everything else, not so much about, yeah, it's fucked up. It is actually fucked up. The fact that they're not showing us M2 reports. So this is why I like the economics talk. There's a lot happening in the background, right? We know back in 2019, and I'm trying not to be a conspiracy theorist for them. I try to be active on Twitter at Hoss Hodls. I try to be active. I'm going to try to be active a little bit more, but you can follow me at Hoss Hodls. There's a lot of things that happened in September of 2019, being the repo market crash and everything else, that makes it very convenient that COVID happened when it happened. I'm not saying that COVID's a plan. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying it's super convenient that COVID happened when it happened because we were at the verge of economic collapse before COVID. When the repo market crashed, which is the shadow banking market that they trade debt on, when that crashed, the Federal Reserve has basically just been propping it up, and it's been a zombie market and for now. So like we're already on life support, right? We're already on a ventilator. We're, you know, on life support and everything else. We're basically brain dead at this point with the economy. And then COVID happened, which seemed to give us a huge injection of money to keep throwing at the issue. Seems super convenient to me. Are you suggesting I'm going to need to send my daughter to maybe possibly you're gonna maybe well, I mean, like it'll just be like drawn on with like whoever your mayor is of your individual town, right? Whoever's drawing your paper marks, you know what I mean? It'll probably be Enos at the community center handing out the paper marks for you, and you can go hand that to your daughter and buy a loaf for probably roughly 300 paper marks, loaf of bread. So there you go. But yeah, that's our future. I mean, a lot of things can happen, so who knows? But we'll wrap it up. I really appreciate the conversation. I love when we can talk about the economic side of things. It's something that I'm hugely interested in. And I sound a little bit like a loon when I talk about it. I think I'm, you know, a Chicken Little screaming that the sky is falling, but if it quacks like a duck, sounds like a duck, it's a duck, right? So that's where I'm going. But again, going back to my statement that I said before I even got on this whole tangent, anyone that's saying that the economy is going to crash is traditionally wrong. So I'll leave you with that. That's it for me, guys. Really appreciate the stream. Great stream today. I will see you guys next weekend, Coffee and Crypto. And of course, we'll see you through the week. But don't let these price moves get you down. We're probably going to be in some good sites in the next couple of months. So just hold on tight. All right, see you guys. Enjoy your weekend.